All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackburn News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? It reminds you of Steely Dan. Oh, that's cool. Extra Bola. Well, that's actually me. It's me and my band, and my band is me. So, and I like Steely Dan, so thanks. I appreciate that. Um, that's actually something that's going to come out on. I have a new record coming out. I don't know when. I don't have a date, but pretty soon. Thanks. Thank you, Extra Bola. I don't have a date yet, but working on it furiously right now. Yeah, but welcome. Thanks for being here. I don't know what happened to I guess I'm going to have to refresh Rockfin because the chat is missing in Rockfin. Oh, there you go. There we go. Osama's best song ever. Right on. You should hear the whole thing, I guess, right? Soon the whole thing will be heard. I promise. And oh, is my computer? Oh, is it the mic or the computer? Hold on. Thanks for letting me know. Thank you. You're right. You are right. Thank you. I didn't realize that. Okay, now it should be my mic. Thanks, Gene. We're live on Rockfin, Callin, YouTube, all the places. What's up? New people in the chats, which I always like to see. All right. Cool. Thank you. All right. Well, let's get into it. It's Friday, so we're just kind of shooting the shit, I guess. Poppy sent me this by way of. No, the buzz is back. The buzz is back by way of Doomer Girl News. Doomer Girl News. I'm a fan of Doomer Girls. Hope the Doomer Girls are a fan of the Doomer guy. All right. But this is about the Mississippi River and the drought that made the Mississippi River get mighty low. I'm feeling mighty low. The Mississippi River was swinging low this summer. And there was a lot of work being done behind the scenes, I guess, to keep the Mississippi River and the barges going and flowing. And this, we're going to throw sign of the times, but also, sign of what humans will do when things get a little kooky is we're going to throw all the technology and the money at the problem, and it may all be for naught, but it'll keep things going for a little while. I fear that we'll get into a state where just the maintenance
the maintenance of our lifestyle will become really, really expensive. Extremely expensive, and probably most likely will be only available as things get harder. Will be only available to those that can afford it, right? Because the maintenance will get really expensive. And so slowly, a lot of people are not going to be part of the gang that's receiving the benefits of our culture and our lifestyle and our civilization. Anyways, it was an interesting story. Sorry, I'm going to go to the top. Sorry for the scrolling. The U.S. Army has been dredging the Mississippi River 24/7 for 6 months. The drought crisis that grounded barges and unearthed fossils may finally be over. For 6 months. The drought was big news when barges got stranded. Receding waters revealed historic artifacts, and river traffic briefly ground to a standstill in October. But the drought didn't end when the channel reopened. Barges have been able to transport goods down the historically shallow Mississippi only because the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been constantly vacuuming the bottom of the river. There was a few months of pretty intense management. Lou Del Orco, the chief of operations and readiness at the Corps St. Louis District, told Insider, the Corps maintains a 9-foot deep channel down the Mississippi River so that ships and barges can travel freely. Huh. To keep the channel open, Del Orco had to bring in dredges from other districts. At some points, 3 vessels were operating 24/7, traveling to choke points in the St. Louis area, dropping their suction tubes to the riverbed, inhaling material from it, and transporting the material through tubes to designated disposal sites like a giant vacuum cleaner, Del Orco said. Well, that's neat. Our dredge can fill up an Olympic-sized pool about every hour, he said. It's normal for the Corps to keep one dredge at work 24/7 throughout the season, but not 2 or 3. So this is one of the dredgers right here. Named the Dredge Potter. A 4-day break during a cold snap around Christmas gave crews time to do minor maintenance on the vessels. One of the dredges left the district about that time, and the second one left St. Louis last week. More rain and snow have improved conditions on the river, and it looks like the end of the crisis is on the horizon. For now, I guess, if you believe that things are just, the weather is just going to, switch back to normal now. Which it could for a little while. It could for a little while, but, expect more of this kind of stuff in the future, I think. Commerce is moving with no restrictions relative to drought. Deb Calhoun, a senior vice president at the Waterways Council, a group that advocates for modern waterway infrastructure, told Insider in an email, "We will be watching for high water next, which is something that normally happens around this time of year. If it ain't a drought, it's a flood." But yeah, since July, the St. Louis district has dredged about 9 million cubic yards of material from the bottom of the river in about 70 locations. Del Orco said, in a normal year, they would dredge only 3 million to 4 million cubic yards. It's more than 2,700 Olympic-sized swimming pools of material removed from the riverbed this year, compared with just 1,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools in a normal season. This year, the dredging season has stretched at least 100 days longer than normal. He estimated that it costs about $6.5 million to operate 2 dredges for a month. Yikes, throw in a third, and he said the Corps was looking at $10 million a month to operate these dredges. Yeah. Climate change can make droughts like these this year is more common. Well, yeah. The last time the Mississippi dropped to such extreme lows and required this much management was in 2012. No research has directly linked these drought events to the climate crisis, but scientists are confident that rising temperatures will amplify droughts across much of the U.S. Well, yeah, no duh. Well, there's some, good old scientific skepticism there from Business Insider. No research has linked these droughts to the climate crisis. These are just regular old, bad old droughts. Okay. Does look like a floating hotel. In this case, a summer of record heat waves baked away some of the river's water. Record heat waves. And then a flash drought struck the Ohio, Mississippi, Missouri River valleys, robbing the Mississippi of the snowpack that usually feeds it. Well, gee, I wonder what could be causing that stuff, heat waves and flash droughts. What could cause that? Well, it ain't climate change. Not for sure. Can you see why everybody's confused about what's going on the planet? Because one side of the aisle is like, they're making this stuff up and they're really hyping it. They're overhyping it. And the other side of the aisle is like, they're not even really trying to, they're not trying to tell you actually what's happening. They're really going, above and beyond, far and beyond, the skepticism. Well, we can't directly link this to climate change. But it could get hotter. Okay. Yeah, what do you think is going to happen when it gets hotter? And hotter. And then a little hotter. Or could it be that people have been skeptical about climate change all along, and now that it's actually showing its face, now a few places are like going, huh, looks like climate change. Oh, no. And that that final admission, from people, publicly, like, oh, geez, we might have a problem with climate change. That, just the admission that had to be dragged out of people for years, you had to have massive protests and people going, hey, are we going to talk about this? Hey, are we going to talk about this? Scientists, like, when are we going to talk about this? In public. And finally, people are starting to talk about it, and the other side is like, oh my God, they're hyping it. They're overhyping it, and they're saying too much, and they're like trying to push it on you. They're pushing this climate change agenda. No, dude. Like, no. And no to that phone call. No. What's happening is people are finally being forced to admit that something is going on. When for so long, they were like, no, don't say anything about climate change because we don't want anybody to know that we're destroying the planet for money. We're destroying the planet for money. And we like doing this, and it's fine, and we're going to keep on doing it. And there's actually no way out. There's no way to stop it. There's absolutely no way to stop it. And the people that are supposedly overhyping climate change are actually not telling you how ugly it is going to be. They're trying to tell you, well, like, yeah, we can fix the climate change if we all just bought an electric car from Tesla, from that nice guy Elon Musk. He is really smart. If we just all bought an electric car, we can fix climate change. Come on, guys. Like, that's what they're trying to tell you. What's going on? Calling people. I see calling people dropping some comments here. Terry Barnes says attributing specific weather events to AGW is not scientific. There's a reason why NOAA doesn't ever do that. Well, yeah, I mean, but they're being, actually scientifically skeptical, right? Which is contrary to, what people are trying to tell you that they're not, well, they're just not doing the it's settled science thing, which is fine. It's just fine. That's actually scientific. However, I think they could actually say, if climate change is really happening and it's just going to get hotter every year, well, the likelihood that this gets worse or keeps on happening like every year or every other year or all the time, the likelihood that is going to be what happens is actually 100%. So get ready. That that's not necessarily unscientific. That's just like following a trend pattern on a graph. Like, here's the graph. It keeps on going up, and there's no reason why it's going to go down or stop going up. There's absolutely no reason why it's going to stop going up. So scientifically, we could say this is going to get a lot worse. So hang on to your pants. All right, we're going to take a call from Clayton.
Hey there.
Oh, hey Clayton, what's up? I can't really hear you. Can you try saying something again?
Hello.
Oh, maybe it's my end. Okay, try it again.
Hello?
There you go.
Sweet. So I was going to say one of the things I think we've been seeing, one of the more obvious effects of climate change has been, it seems like long periods of no rainfall and then bam, huge giant storm.
Right.
Rivers not flowing at all, rivers down low, and then bam, a huge storm hits and everyone gets flooded.
Yeah.
And I think we both know that the fix to climate change isn't more Teslas, but I think I might have a not so techy earth-based solution that might work for a lot of these problems.
Okay, give it to us.
So, you know about permaculture.
Yes.
We've talked about this before, but do you know about swales? Like what a swale is?
No, give me the rundown of what a swale is.
Okay, a swale is basically a dirt mound on the contour of whatever landmass you're in. So basically like a level dirt mound that when a big rain comes, catches all the rain in this big swale and you get a pool basically. Okay. And then basically what it does is it has a penetrable bottom so that it basically just slowly releases the water. And this is what our forests used to do before we cut them all down and turned them into farmland. But
right.
The swale is basically a way to replicate that process so that when there's droughts or when there's a flood, it doesn't all flood the river at once and it slows down the water, and so that it slowly penetrates into the land and slowly flows down into the river.
Okay.
And then in drought times, you can basically regulate the flood drought cycle with these without,
because you'd be storing the water like with the swales. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, it's like it's basically water. Imagine like tiny dams, a million tiny dams everywhere that leaked water very, very slowly across America. So that way, there's been studies, and this guy Jeff Lawton does this in Australia, where these drought flood cycles are really bad.
Okay.
Like we've seen all these drought and flood stories from Australia, but basically he does it, and the rivers on his property and his neighbors downstream are saying, "Oh, well, would you look at that? The streams are running in the drought, and then when floods come, it's not as devastating because he catches all the water."
Yeah.
So, and all we need to do is move dirt around, and we don't have to mine shit out of Africa and do all these human rights abuses. We don't have to open any more factories. It's just
Right.
moving dirt around. It's not going to solve all their problems, of course. That's not going to stop the oceans from acidifying, but a lot of the human impacts that we deal with might be helped out by that. And I just wanted to share that.
Okay. I appreciate
Give a
it.
little touch of optimism in there.
Okay.
With all
with all the doom.
With
news.
all the doom.
And there are people actually creating, trying to, regenerate the water cycle and, doing regenerative farming. And, there are people out there doing that.
Yeah.
Trying to do
And
that. And I encourage people to do more of that.
And there's real stories of people actually turning desert areas back into forests using these methods. So
yeah,
I think there's a tiny little glimpse of something good at the end of the rainbow, but that's about all I had to say.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there are people out there with ideas about there are people out there with ideas about things that we can do to help the situation, and please do more. Do all the things. Don't feel discouraged. And doing the things that you think might be good to do to help the planet. Bella says the chief source of problems is solutions. Well, there's people that think that too. But I mean, I don't know. We do get a little smarter sometimes. We do learn. It is possible for humans to learn. And evolve very quickly with our big brains. That's a possibility. I'm sorry, trying to delete the buzz. Okay. No. Now the buzz is toying with me. Anyways. We'll see. We'll see what we'll be able to accomplish, as things get a little weirder. And all these, the really good, smart ideas, working to actually steer things in a better direction are, also do depend on us hopefully stopping doing the bad things. I don't know if we're going to stop the bad. I don't know if we're going to stop the bad things. Bella, people watching this channel get smarter? Nice. I hope so. I hope so. I think I'm smarter for having done this channel. And yes, and for connecting with all y'all too. Let's see. I think Poppy sent me another good. Come on, Buzz. All right. Again, from Doomer Girl News, we're gonna stay in this zone. What is this about? Category faster than expected. Oh, thank you, Tim. Thank you. I appreciate that. Category faster than expected. The underestimates of land elevation mean coastal communities have less time to prepare for sea level rise than expected, with the biggest impacts of rising seas occurring earlier than previously thought. So, okay, what does this mean? A new study finds the biggest increases in inundation will occur after the first 2 meters, or 6.6 feet of sea level rise, covering more than twice as much land as older elevation models predicted. What the heck? So when it floods real bad, I guess. The worst impacts of sea level rise will hit earlier than expected, says modeling study. This is from a couple days ago. Current models of sea level rise suggest that the most widespread impacts will occur after sea level rise. Sea level has risen by several meters. But a new study finds the biggest increases in inundation will occur after the first 2 meters of sea level rise, covering more than twice as much land as older elevation models predicted. The study used high-resolution measurements of land elevation from NASA's ICE-SAT-2 LiDAR satellite, launched in 2018 to improve upon models of sea level rise and inundation. Previous assessments typically relied on radar-based data, which are less precise. Radar is unable to fully penetrate vegetation and therefore overestimates surface elevation. Oh, well, there you go. Many coastal areas are lower than scientists thought they were. Yikes. The study was published in Earth's Future. The underestimates of land elevation mean coastal communities have less time to prepare for sea level rise than expected, with the biggest impacts of rising seas occurring earlier than previously thought. After those first few meters of sea level rise, the rate at which land area falls below mean sea level decreases. Verneman, who works on flood protection and spatial planning advisory projects, started using these more accurate measurements of land elevation when he realized that existing land elevation estimates were not suitable for quantifying coastal flooding risk. Using the new measurements of land elevation, Verneman and co-author Aljoja Hoosier found coastal areas lie much lower than older radar data had suggested. Analysis of the new LiDAR-based elevation model revealed 2 meters of sea level rise would cover up to 2.4 times the land area as a 2.4 times. Wow. That's a lot more times than a area observed by radar-based elevation models. Okay. Anyways, for example, the LiDAR data suggests a 2-meter increase in sea level could put most of Bangkok and its 10 million residents below sea level, while older data suggested that Bangkok would still be largely above mean sea level under that same amount of sea level rise. In total, about 2 meters of sea level rise. Verneman and Hoosier estimate that 240 million more people will live below mean sea level. 240 million people is a lot of people after 3 and 4 meters of sea level rise. That number increases by 140 million and by another 116 million, respectively. Cities below future sea level may not necessarily be submerged because levees, dikes, and pumping stations and dredgings and all the doings can protect some areas from rising seas. Amsterdam and New Orleans are modern examples of this. However, such protection measures can be expensive and take decades to implement. Yeah. Expensive. However, such protection measures can, if vulnerable communities want to mitigate the most damage, they need to act before the sea level rises those first few meters. And what they mean by that is get the out. Or that's what I suggest. Stop with the whole how about a couple of $10 million a month to dredge the river? $10 million a month to run these levees, the pumping stations at the levees. Instead of all the $5 billion to build a seawall around New York City or whatever it's going to cost. Oh, that was too low, that estimate. Now it's $20 billion. Now how much would you pay? We got to save New York City. I don't know. Maybe we don't. maybe we should, do something else. I don't know. And maybe, here's an idea. Maybe it won't matter how many seawalls you build and how many levees and pumping stations you build and dredgers you bring out. It won't matter. Because eventually, the river's going to get so low, the seas are going to get so high, right? The drought's going to get so bad, the heat wave's going to get so intense that that it just overwhelms all of the money you threw at the problem. And Mother Nature goes, you guys, nice try. All right, Obsolete Optics, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Always helpful to keep this channel running. I appreciate the support, guys. And while we're at it, I guess I'll look at the coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/Blackbear News. It looks really weird. I don't know what's going on with my page. Why does it look like this? Huh. My page looks like a bunch of nonsense. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, I don't think anybody bought me a coffee. So that's okay. Something is very wrong with this page. Rockfin tips, none yet today, but also, Anyways. Bold Robe Lamppost says, make the oceans deeper. That's what we'll do. We'll dredge the oceans. I think it'll cost us about $563 million a week to dredge the oceans as quickly as we can. Investigating beachfront property in Cincinnati, extra bull. Yeah, actually, Cincinnati is a pretty cool town. I don't know. I find myself drawn to places that people generally consider to be, I don't know, people have bad things to say about places like Detroit or Cincinnati, and I love both Detroit and Cincinnati, some of my favorite cities. But Cincinnati is pretty cool. And even cooler with beachfront property. You dig their radio station? Yes. Tim says, feeling busy and being effective seem to be at odds. I was going to read that article too. I saw some article like that this morning. I don't know if that's the article that you read or if that's what you're referring to, or maybe you're just saying that because you're a smart person. But I was like, they're like, is being too busy keeping you from getting things done? I was like, yes, it is. Absolutely. I got to read that article, but I'm too busy. I got too much to do to read this article on why it's bad. All right. We're going to take this call from William. How you doing, William? William, are you there? William, are you there? I can't. You're still muted, I think. Or maybe you're not. Okay. Hello.
Can you hear me now, Kev?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't get an invite. You were saying hello, and I'm like, well, I'm not getting glitch.
It's all good. Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
sometimes.
Got a little ongoing chat going in the live chat here.
Yeah.
And, I don't know who Vrasco is, but listen, my brother, just pointing out different ideas and quoting different people. You know? Yeah, right. No reason to get hostile or, I mean,
yeah.
whatever.
I wasn't even really looking at this chat, but now I'm, I don't know. I'm kind of gonna peek at it.
I guess, would I be bothered if the Earth? I'm answering his question. Go ahead, Kevin. Maybe I'll let you. Do you want me to talk a little bit while you?
Oh no, yeah, no. I'm just reading it. Go ahead and say what you got to say.
The friend asked, "Are you really bothered about the Earth being the hottest it's ever been, and why?"
Say what?
Well,
Say
I suppose it would matter if Paul Beckham is right and some other climate scientists, and because I care about Mother Earth and everything that lives on it. I mean, I'm not saying I know what is and isn't to the T, but I think let me put it this way. I just want to say this, Kev. I'll get this out. I think it's kind of naive to think that we could burn all these petrochemicals as we have exponentially as the population grows exponentially and change the atmospheric composition of different gases and not expect some change. I mean, take what it was before the Industrial Revolution to where we are today and the population explosion.
Right.
That'd be like looking at a patient who is sick and saying, "Oh, you made recent changes? Doesn't matter."
Right.
Maybe we need to look at that holistically.
Sure. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
I'm not saying I have the answers. I sure don't, and I think it's much too complicated for any. Plus, I don't think we're ever gonna. No, I've just proven my ignorance. I know. Thank you, my friend.
Well, it's
anyway.
Also really good to prove your point by telling somebody they're ignorant. I mean, that just sums it up, right? I mean, like, case closed. That's the way like lawyers win court cases, by just saying like, yeah, this defendant is ignorant. I win.
Right.
Judge goes, good point.
Right. Well, the other thing is,
so right, like if you think that's just how you win the argument, I don't know. Right. Well, the other
maybe
thing everybody else is ignorant and you aren't. I don't know. Maybe.
No, I hear you, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's also about forcing adaptation. Sure, the Earth has been hotter in the past, and humans may adapt over time, but it's as if people haven't lost their lives and their livelihoods and their livestock and their animals and their property in the process. It's already been happening. How much is it due to normal cycles? How much is it due to normal cycles plus, anthropogenic causes? What I don't understand.
Well, we weren't around for first thing. We weren't around when the Earth was a lot hotter.
Right on.
Yeah, human beings evolved, and we've entered this phase of prosperity and quick, very quick evolvement, like in a very stable period for the climate, right? So, and also other species, there have been extinction events due to the climate changing very quickly in the past, right? The dinosaurs went away. There have been several extinction events, right? And some of them, some people think, well, it was like, it might have been a meteor or might have been something else, but a lot of those were due to just climate change. Like the climate went very cold or it went very hot very quickly, and a lot of species couldn't keep up. So that's what we're doing to ourselves at the moment. Just to put that in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I think I don't know what's going on. What he's saying, I'm agreeing to or not agreeing to. I'm concerned about the rate of change. How look at man. I was out in California. I had the fire rage through a property that I owned, and SDG&E coughed at $879,000. We had super high winds and fires and drought, and we had 3 fires while I was out there within 2 decades. Made in Escondido alone, San Diego County.
Yeah,
that is highly unusual. Then I come back east, and we had what? The superstorms coming up the coast in 2010 on, you know what I mean?
Right.
Irene and Sandy. A lot of people get hurt and died, and I think it's kind of, turning a blind eye to all that. It doesn't make much sense to me. I don't,
Right.
So I don't have to be an expert in all things. All I have to do is see my experiential world and then read science and get different opinions. And yeah, I agree with Breedlove. Yeah, thank you, brother. Right on. Yeah, it's about the speed of change, and it's a gotcha question, not in good faith. I hear you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And also, just to address something that Frasco said that I denigrated what the Dutch did in the Netherlands. That again, I'm ignorant because I'm not saying that what they did isn't a feat of engineering or whatever. What I actually said, I think, was that you could do all that you want, but that the eventuality of climate change is going to overwhelm, right? Mother Nature is going to overwhelm these feats of engineering that we have accomplished, which are actual genuinely, crazy good, amazing feats of engineering, right? Like humans are amazing on a lot of levels, totally. And the fact that we can make the things that we make and do the things that we can do, and I mean, yeah, okay, I'm amazed by technology every day. But what I'm saying, Frasco, I wasn't saying like, I just think at some point, throwing money and technology at a problem that is going to overwhelm, there's a point at which that becomes kind of a losing game, right? Your return on investment is going to be like, well, that was dumb, because eventually it's going to fail, is what I'm saying. Eventually it's going to fail. Eventually climate change will overwhelm your technology and your answers, and it's just going to be like, well, I could have actually spent all that money and all that time doing something different. But whatever. That's just my opinion too.
I think one thing I like to try and do is say, look, we're never going to, this will always be polarized, this argument. People can point to past history, cycles, sunspots, solar minimums, solar maximums, volcanic activity, meteor activity. We're never going to settle this. But I think, Kevin, you and I talked about what we can at least come on some common ground about trying to do things to help reduce our own energy costs, and that everybody, I think, would be interested in that. And then also, how about trying to consider, the planet and the health of the planet. As the health of the planet goes, so do we. So if we're polluting things and we're getting poison in our environment, we are one with the earth. We don't escape. You know what I mean? So I think that because Kev, you know what, man, we can point to it'll always be polarized. You know what I mean? We're never going to get consensus on this climate issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. It hasn't happened since it started, and the discussion started when their own oil company meetings at Columbia University were discussing climate change in the 50s, as best as I recall. I forget the professor who was involved at the time, but
long before then too, there were several people saying like, "Hey, if we do this is not going to be good." And I was listening to a show yesterday where people were actually acknowledging that Plato, all the way back then, Plato was, a person who was concerned about planetary destruction and ecological destruction brought on by overshoot of people, right? And they were, that was amazing, right? Because people always, there's a lot of people that quote Plato and Platonic ideas. These are all great. But these are a lot of people that are they're not fond of like Malthusian ideas or right or things like that. Any ideas that suggest that maybe mankind can destroy their own nest.
Right.
Anyways, I was listening to a show where they were like actually acknowledging that about Plato, and I was like, hey, all right, good. Good for you guys for actually like knowing about the things that he said, but that long ago, right? Even Plato, thousands of years ago, was like, yeah, if we keep doing this stuff, the outcome is going to be negative, right, for people. And then there's so many stories, right, through the history of man where we have actually we've been the victims of not climate change as brought on by technological prowess, but climate change as brought on by, like, the climate does change, right? Droughts and whatnot, famines, right? Where you're like, man, we're growing all this food, and look at all the food we got, and all the, and we can feed everybody. Have another baby. Everybody have babies because we got all the food. We are growing the food. We're growing the food all day long, and it's great. And we got all kinds of food, and we got food stored, and oh man, it's awesome. And then And then all of a sudden, like a drought came, and food was hard to grow for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden people started getting like real skinny and dying, and then people were like, then it got to be real bad times, right? And like that's just an example of how you can get wiped out by your own, whatever. Just you're high on life for a second, and then things have a way of evening things out, right? That was nature's way of saying like, not so fast, maybe not so much, right? Maybe you guys should scale it back a little bit. But nature will eventually do that to us again. Unfortunately, I don't look forward to it. It's just going to happen.
Well, also it's about the misallocation of resources driven by profit, and more product you sell, whether it's gas, oil, minerals, whatever, more money they made, as opposed to, like we talked about, hydrothermal carbonization. Heck, Friedrich what's his name again? Burgos, I think it is, back in 1913. We could have been making, a lot of energy out of poop for a long time. You know what I mean? For over 100 years.
Yeah.
And we only got one plant. I'm sorry, in Pennsylvania.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, I mean, we could have actually done a better job at, scaling our technology in a way that was less exploitative, however you want to say it, and more, help, right, and actually helpful, right? We could have had electrified mass transit system, right, public transit systems and trains built all over the country instead of highways and cars. But we went the route that made people more money.
Well, didn't they take down everything? Well, not all of it, but a lot of the rails, the electric cars and rails in Northern Cal, right? Didn't they break those all down to make room for the cars, all the trolleys and all that? A lot of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Not all, but So I don't know if one thing I can suggest is, I don't know, you mentioned Fridays being kind of a call-in day. Maybe one thing, if it's up to you, if you felt up to moving someone up to speaker and let another caller come in, and we could actually have like group conversations if you're up for that.
Well, we can do that. I think we can do that anytime, honestly. Yeah. If somebody wants to come in and debate, I'm down.
Yeah.
I think you can just say.
Yeah, all you got to do is like press and hold my figure, and it'll give you an option to move me up to speaker, and then you can take another. If somebody calls in, like Terry or anybody else want to call in, or Sele, or even the other fella, how do you pronounce it again? Van Dim. Anybody call in and come on. It's called call-in for a reason. Let's talk. Right? Okay?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I invited you to speak.
Yeah, I got
so
that.
Now you're a
I'm
speaker.
good.
So whatever. If somebody else wants to call, yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man. If somebody else wants to call in and discuss, feel free, or don't feel pressured. We're not trying to make people do things they don't want to do. But yeah, I actually, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna take a. I don't know. It's people come into the chat sometimes, and it's like they're just swinging. Swinging it hard, like that's dumb, you're stupid, you don't know. I mean, I really suggest maybe not doing that. Like just a suggestion. You move how you want to move, but right.
Yeah, Kevin, I can respond. The fellow in the live chat is talking about the causation of some forest fires, and a lot of them are man driven, but when you have a lot of drought like we did, actually those fires, my friend, were caused by power lines breaking and slapping against one another and tree limbs. That's why SDG&E paid out and has paid out. It wasn't cigarettes, it wasn't arson. The studies prove that. And so part of that had to do with lack of maintenance, of lack of tensioners being maintained, and of lack of pruning, because we were up in the back country, a couple miles up a dirt road, a lot of high tension wires running through there, high voltage wires. But the point is, it was very, very, very dry. And,
right. There were many factors involved. It wasn't just like one thing. It was several factors.
Exactly. And they've had a big problem with drought out in Southern Cal and Northern Cal and around the whole Midwest, Pacific Northwest. I mean, we could talk about the. The thing is, here's the thing. There's obviously a lot of science on both sides, and I'm not taking the hardline position either way. All I'm talking about is trying to discuss it and also bring out the point that the bigger picture is, as we pollute the earth, the fisheries, right, the waterways, as we
The
misallocate
insect
resources.
population's collapsing.
Yeah, Silent Spring, Rachel Carson. When was that? 1964.
60s,
I think
yeah.
she wrote it. Yeah. It's not like these things haven't been known. We're going to have some effect. And then, from what I understand, there's been a big drop off in bird population due to the drop off in the insects, and that affects pollination and
Right.
the foods. And
Right.
wow, it's all connected, isn't it, Kev? I mean,
Yeah.
on some level.
I mean, it's a nice sunny day here, and you should hear. Okay, in the past year, I've been doing this show for a long time from just this spot, and in the past, if you watch my show, if you were watching my show like 3 years ago, and there were several people here that were, like 3 or 4 years ago, you would hear birds like all through the show. There would be just birds, chirping, chirping, chirping. Very loud. It was very loud. The bird population here was large. And in the just in the last 2 years, they have disappeared. They are gone. Like that, all that bird noise, all the birds, that lived in the trees right around, right here where I'm broadcasting, like they are gone. And that actually followed, several years where I noticed that a lot of the insects were gone. Right, a lot of the usual, the butterflies, the bees. And the June bugs and a lot of the insect population has declined severely, and now there are no birds, and like that is very concerning, right? It's extremely concerning. There are other signs that I can point to, and that's the thing is like if you're really we can debate like whether one particular incident is somehow linked or caused by global warming. We could do that all day long, right? We can go round and round. But I think that there are some obvious things that are happening, right? When I have callers calling me all day, every single day, going like, "Well, I live in Maine and there's no snow. Oh, I live in Michigan and there's no snow. I live in Ohio and like, the weather has changed so drastically that I now can grow a palm tree here." Right.
Wow.
And like, yeah, that's crazy. That's not supposed to be happening. Right. So obviously things are changing. Obviously, you can't necessarily say that every single event is caused by global warming or that is, directly linked to climate change, but it's in there somewhere. It's in there somewhere. And eventually that in there somewhere part is going to become like, it's pretty much all that. It's pretty much, this couldn't happen without that thing being a constant. And North South said, "I remember your dog would bark too." She's a little bit older, so she's a little chilled out. She's way more chilled out now.
Then there we go. We got the family argument. So power lines and the fire, and that's what they got to do with climate change. Listen, okay, you know what? You win the argument. You win everything. Let the planet go wherever it's going to go. We just pollute it. Don't give a rat's butt about how much we dump on her in their oceans, in the water, spew into the atmosphere. Everything's just fine. You win.
Right.
If it makes you feel better, go ahead. But
get
Kevin,
yourself,
let me ask you.
get yourself a Ford F-150 or whatever, and drive to the Dairy Queen and get an extra large shake for me.
Right on, bro.
Because sounds delicious. I like extra large shakes from Dairy Queen. I love them. And we are humans, and climate change is only going to really impact GDP by a couple of percentage points, but we're going to be so prosperous in the future, so prosperous. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. So rejoice, click your heels, jump in the air, say, "Yeah, humans!" Fist in the air for humans. We're going to do it.
Yeah, we don't need to have any symbiosis and consider our, oh man, I'm just trying to.
It's all good, man.
I don't know what else to say, bro.
Yeah, no, I think you said it all.
All right.
I think you said, you said You said all that needs to be said. I think
Okay, my friend.
yeah,
Thank
all
you.
good. I got to wrap it up anyway, so let's get into the
Right
end of the
on.
show. But thanks for calling in, Woody.
Thank you too, sir. Bye now.
Bye bye. Cool. Human love, solidarity. I'm going to Disney World after the show. Bella says, "Humans, you got this." I mean, I look. I hope I'm wrong. Please understand. I hope that I'm dead ass wrong. I hope that I'm so wrong that everybody is, the whole world points at me and laughs and goes, that guy was so stupid. I hope that is the case. I really do, because I want to be so wrong about this. I want to be so wrong that I could be like, you know what? Life is good. Everything's great. Nothing to worry about. Everything's fine. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing is going to affect my children in the future. I want that to be reality. I really do. I really, really do. So if somebody can come in and really get me going on an idea how it is that we're not causing something really disastrous to the planet, then I want to believe. I really want to believe that. Please make your case. Make it a convincing one. Make it a good one. Make it mountains of evidence. So much evidence that I'm just like, whoa, people, I was wrong. I got to come on this mic and go, I was dead wrong, and I apologize. And man, I'm going to change my ways. I'm going to change my whole message. My message is going to be one of, goodness and prosperity forevermore for human beings. I can't wait to have that day. I want that day to be today. So please let me know how it's going to be different than I think, or than a lot of other people think it's going to be in the future. So anyways, and maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe the big brains in the human beings, maybe our big brains are going to figure it out. Or maybe God is the universe, whoever she is, God or the universe or some entity out there is going to say, you know what? I got different plans for you today, right? I'm not a religious person, but I'm just saying, to the people that believe in whoever you believe in, maybe your God has other plans for us and is going to step in and go like, I got you, human beings. Maybe that's going to happen too. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just going on, like kind of basic science and how it's, and the way that it's pointing. That's all I'm working on here. So, and on that note, please enjoy your day. Really go forth and enjoy yourself today. Have a good day. Do good things for yourself, and do good things for the people in your life, and all that, kind of great stuff. And I don't know. Enjoy your day. That's all I got to say. All right, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.